Raja Ravi Varma is one of the greatest painters in the history of Indian art. His paintings of Hindu deities have captured the visual imagination of India for over 100 years. His paintings of royalty and the rich are one of the most sought after works of art. Why is Raja Ravi Varma so special? How do we appreciate the dazzling beauty of his art? Raja Ravi Varma lived from 1848 to 1906, and Rupika Chawla is the leading expert on his works and has written an authoritative book on him published by Mappin. She's also restored many of his paintings. Rupika Chawla is on Art Talk with me, Jujhar Singh. Thank you very much for joining us on Art Talk. There is no Indian artist who's had the popular appeal of Raja Ravi Varma. Why is this so?
Well, he belongs to a different era, a different moment of time. And at that moment, he brought together several elements which were new for that time and remain new in a certain way now.
New elements like?
Which means that there were painters making mythological paintings before him. But the combination of realism, that's new.
He gave our gods and goddesses human faces.
Yes, that. And the third thing he brought together was oil paint. So there was this combination of academic realism, oil paint, and mythology. By oil paint, I mean that he could spend his time, he could linger over things that he was painting, you know, different aspects of a figure. For example, with Lakshmi that he painted for Baroda, that moment in time, you have this whole movement against the British colonial rule. Now he's painting this, standing Lakshmi. Now he cannot choose a regional sari. He wants to talk about a national sari, a sari that connected and brought together all the people of the country. And at that time, the sari of the kind that I'm wearing now was just emerging. It hadn't emerged. And that was a sari he chose to put on Lakshmi. So she's standing, wearing the sari which was going to become the national sari. He didn't choose
the pan-Indian look sari.
The pan-Indian look sari. He didn't choose the 9-yard Nawari sari, the 9-yard Tamilian sari, the Parsi sari, whatever. No, because they belong to different regions. He was looking, as you say, for the pan-Indian sari, and that's what he found.
And he had his goddess Lakshmi standing up so you could see the whole sari.
Exactly. And then who was this painted for? This was painted for one of his major clients, the royal family of Baroda.
And his other iconic painting was of goddess Saraswathi.
That's right. Saraswathi again was the pair in a certain way to Lakshmi. Now what has he done with Saraswathi? He's taken care that every part, the veena she's holding, the white sari that she's wearing, she's sitting near the water which is suggestive of wisdom, saras, suggestive of wisdom and knowledge. So every symbol of Saraswati has been painted into that work. And painting it also means painting it skillfully, realistically, and beautifully. And what is very nice is the combining of the real and the divine, which he did so often. The pleats of Saraswati sari, you know, there's a fold. It's almost as if Saraswati would have taken it out that morning and worn it.
And the way he adorns her with jewelry.
Yes, oh, that's just very beautiful because this is Saraswati and she has to wear the most beautiful jewelry. And two things which are very interesting about both of them is that the crown that both Lakshmi and Saraswati are wearing, this is an influence from Tanjore paintings because all the gods and goddesses in Tanjore paintings wear crowns like this. So he has taken that, he has been influenced by Tanjore paintings and he has made Lakshmi and Saraswati wear those crowns. And what is so beautiful is that Ravi Varma has made Saraswati wear her necklace inside the sari. It's like saying, well, I've got wealth, but I don't have to show off. So it's a subtle way of showing her necklace.
How beautiful,
Yeah,
how
that
interesting.
is beautiful, yes, that is.
Raja Ravi Varma also did a lot of paintings of Lord Ram. For example, there's the one where he's breaking the bow at Sita Swayamvar.
Yes, yes. That's a work that he made for the Maharaja of Mysore, and he knew it was going to be placed in the Darbar Hall. It's a pity it never got placed in the Darbar Hall. So he did write to the Maharaja and say, would you like Ram to have a pale skin, or would you like him to have a blue skin? So the secretary wrote back and said, no, we want Ram to have a pale skin. So here is Ram with pale skin, and there's tiny little Sita. After all, she was so young at that time. It's a beautiful painting.
Raja Ravi Varma was also very good at picking up pivotal and dramatic scenes from the scriptures to depict in his paintings. Look at the painting where Ravan is carrying off Sita and Jatayu is opposing him.
Yes, the exact...
The drama over there.
Yes, exactly. The exact moment in a narrative. So here, this is a very important part in the Ramayana, the moment that Sita is being abducted by Ravan. Now, when Ravi Varma was about to make this painting, so he was in his own home in Kilimanu, where there were 300, 400 people staying. And the word went around that Ravi Varma was going to make a major work, and he was about to start drawing it. So everyone sort of comes out and he says, yes, I'm looking for a couple of people. Okay, now you or you, some faraway cousin who was a tall, stocky, sturdy man, he says, you are perfect for Ravan, so you come here. So he stood there, and then he was looking at the little girls who were there. So he asked this young niece of his, who was tiny and delicate and sweet. So she came, and when she came and stood over there, her friends and cousins started to giggle, the way little girls will always giggle. So when they started to giggle, she got shy, and she did that. And Ravi Varma said, that's the moment I want. So that's the way Sita is made. The reason that little girl stood like that is completely different. But the gesture of Sita doing that in the painting is something that Ravi Varma used.
And also look at the way Ravi Varma depicts Ravan cutting the wing of Jatayu. What a powerful stroke.
Yes, that is
you
really
can feel
powerful.
It.
Yeah, you know, and the expression
You can feel it in the painting.
Absolutely, the expression on Ravan's face when he's cutting Jatayu's wing, that's really, because every moment, every little detail in these paintings, he did it with thought, with the right intent. He understood what had to go into it, and he didn't miss an inch. He wasn't negligible about some part of it. Everything had to fit in.
And then this painting of Sita in the Ashoka Grove.
Yeah, that's quite extraordinary, because here she is surrounded by those asuras, and they're really cute-looking asuras, if I can say. They are very sweet. They are appealing in the way they are made, sitting all around.
But look at the expressions on each of the characters in the painting.
It really is.
He's
something.
worked on each of the characters.
Yes, very well. As I said, he doesn't leave out an inch. But it's the figure of Sita, which is, she's shrinking into herself. You know, you get the feeling she's shrinking inwards, and that's that's painted so well. There is terror, there's fear, because she is surrounded by these awful looking things, but she's not going to give way.
It's a wonderful painting.
Yes, it is. It's very beautiful.
And then the painting of Lord Ram's Coronation.
Yes. Now, that is, it's not a very big painting, but
It's a very vivid one.
In every little detail, because so much of it is over, all the adventures have been had, and now they are home again. Here he's got what he wanted. He wanted a blue-skinned Ram. So he's got a blue-skinned Ram. He hasn't had to ask his patron about the color. He's got a beautiful blue-skinned Ram, and he's
the
got
color of infinity.
Yes, yes, and fabulous jewelry that everyone over here is wearing. It's a happy moment. It's a happy moment, and you can see that reflected in this. But I want to point out one little thing, if it's possible to, is that in the corner on the right side, in the lower half, he had started making some other figure, and then he changed his mind about that figure. So he painted over that figure and made the painting that we see today. But over all this time, which is 120 odd years or so, and as the paint dries, it gets a transparency. The figure that he had painted sort of comes through. It has come through,
so you can make it out a little bit.
And you can make it out
on the right-hand side of the painting.
On the right side, on the lower half.
You can see the outlines of a face.
Yes, you do. You do see, and if it's possible to, for the viewers to see it, that'll be nice.
Was Raja Ravi Varma a devout man himself?
Oh, very. He came from an extraordinary background, where right from childhood, the young children were taught the scriptures, all the Puranas, in Sanskrit and in Malayalam. So he knew every bit. He was very devout, yes.
He was born into an aristocratic family in Kilimanur, Kerala. What was his background? How did he get into art, in a nutshell?
Kilimanur, the children of Kilimanur, not only were they taught the scriptures and everything right from, in Sanskrit and in Malayalam, there was a great deal of music, painting, singing in the family. So everyone was doing something or the other. They were terribly talented, and they were terribly into the arts of this kind. He had an uncle who was a painter, and when Ravi Varma was about 13, 14, his uncle took him to the court in Trivandrum, where he stayed on for several years. And there were other painters. So he got deeper into painting in the court.
Raja Ravi Varma also did a lot of Krishna paintings. There's a spectacular painting of Krishna freeing his imprisoned parents.
Yes, yes. But what is so wonderful about that painting is, the coming together of the child and the divine. Because here you have Krishna, who's standing there like a child, being hugged by his mother, but he's done everything. He's brought about this miracle. And while he's being hugged, the mother is hugging him like a child, and he's telling the ironmonger.
He's pointing over there.
Yes, quickly finish, remove all the chains.
There's a locksmith over there with his tools.
Yes. Yeah. So he's telling that. And here, in this painting, that light is very important, because it's coming from a source outside the painting, and it is throwing a shadow into different parts of the painting, the light. It's quite beautiful, because normally the light, a source of light, is absent in Ravi Varma's works, but here it is very strong. And there on a stool are the clothes that he's brought for his mother to wear before she leaves the prison. It's very charming.
The fine details that he's done in the painting.
Yes, the fine detail, of course, and you can see the Western influence, Jesus with the beard and with the Virgin Mary embracing Jesus. So all those, you get the jhalak of the, of Western influence, paintings from the West that had come into this painting.
There's another fabulous painting, Krishna as an envoy of the Pandavas to Duryodhan. How would you describe that?
Well, it has several elements to it, because here, well, again, Krishna, like Ram, has had many adventures. He's finished with his childhood, he's done his dalliance with Radha. So all these paintings have been made by Ravi Varma. And finally, he's reached Dhritarashtra's court to arbitrate between the two set of cousins, to say that, come on, try to avoid this war. I mean, it's going to get you people nowhere. So he is seated, and he's seated with great comfort. He's got his feet on a footstool, and he's very calm, but he's managed to anger the Kauravas. So they want to tie him up, because they can't take his calmness and his absolute cool manner. And so there is all this going on.
And Krishna's companion Satyaki,
yes, Satyaki
is pulling out his sword over there.
So he's not even looking back.
Krishna.
He's sort of just putting his arm behind him to restrain Satyaki and say, there's no need for you to be doing that. So he's trying to bring peace over there. And also what is so interesting is just before he had left Mysore, he had been presented with a beautiful 9-yard Banarsi brocade cloth by the Maharaja. And the same design, the brocade design that this was, he has placed that on Krishna's shoulder. So that's flowing down. So not
How
only
interesting.
yes, so not only is it adding a very rich element to the painting, a sense of color, but he's also telling his royal patron that what you gave me is worthy of being placed on Krishna's shoulder. Now, what did he do with this 9-yard beautiful brocade cloth? He cut it into two, and when his granddaughters were getting married, they made their wedding lehengas out of this cloth. Yes. So it's beautiful.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And also what's very interesting is how Ravi Varma has worked on every character in this painting. Look at the expressions of every character. They're different.
Fantastic.
In fact, he's worked on every square inch of the painting.
Absolutely. And his face is the only one which is completely calm. And he's completely calm, while everyone else is sort of getting agitated and angry and worked up. He's the only one who's calm. After all, he is the divine God.
Raja Ravi Varma, of course, painted, our gods and goddesses and scenes from our scriptures.
Yeah.
But he also painted a lot of royalty and rich.
Yes.
Who were his main patrons?
His main patrons were Mysore, and I have to thank the family for, I'm using so many of their paintings. Baroda, to some extent Udaipur, and then there were smaller principalities that for which he painted. And of course, another major one was Travancore.
Yes, of course.
Travancore.
He was closely related to them.
Yes.
He painted this very nice canvas of the Maharaja of Mysore, Wedding Day.
Yes, that was quite beautiful, and actually it was very difficult to find this painting, because anywhere I went, one would only find the oleograph of the Maharaja's wedding day. One would only find the oleograph. But if there is an oleograph, there's got to be a painting, otherwise an oleograph cannot happen. So when I was shooting in Mysore in the palace, And I kept on saying, isn't there such a painting? And everyone said, no, we don't know anything about such a painting. And that was the day of Dussehra, when the outside of the palace was lit up completely. And they had to minimize the lights inside the palace because you have to economize on lights, on that electricity. And so we were going around in the dark with a lantern and a torch, and finally we went into a corridor, and there it was, this beautiful painting, the original painting of the marriage of the Maharaja of Mysore. And what I found as we were walking in the corridors were the same tiles, the Belgian tiles, that there are in this painting.
Raja Ravi Varma was fantastic in the way he depicted the clothes of the royals. You know, the folds of the saris, the richness of the fabrics, the silks, the satins, and of course exquisitely painted the exquisite jewelry as well.
Absolutely. You could make out, if the pearls were Basra, they looked Basra. If they were diamonds, they looked diamonds. And the most important thing is, why do the saris or the other brocades, why do they look so well placed on the bodies? Because he had the feeling of the body under the clothes. So that is why the folds would settle so beautifully, because he had the sense of the body, the knees, the legs, the hips, the waist. He had a feel of the body under the clothes, and that is why everything would drop logically according to the shape of the body. And he was able to, because he's using oil paints, he was able to get the texture. Velvet looked velvet, silk looked silk, brocade looked brocade. You know, he was able to do that because he was able to manipulate his oils just the way he wanted.
And look at the painting of the Rani of Pudukkottai.
Yes. Well, she was quite a woman. You can make out by this portrait. You know, she's looks very arrogant, and she was very beautiful. Though 10 years later, she had put on so much weight that she didn't look anything like what she looks in this portrait. But she had a perpetual quarrel on with the Diwan of Pudukkottai, because he was for the British and she didn't like the British. And there was always a scuffle between the two. And he complained to people who were listening to him that, you know, she's always doing these pujas and she hangs these snakes and burns them with ghee because she wants to get rid of me. So she's always doing these pujas. But yeah, she was a formidable lady.
And then the painting of the Maharaja of Bhavnagar.
Yes, that's a very
Look
beautiful.
at the jewels over there.
Yes,
the
yes.
diamonds.
Oh, it's really is exquisite. He's really shown that diamond necklace the way it was.
You'd love to have that.
Wouldn't I just? Yes, I would certainly, if it was possible.
Now, Raja Ravi Varma was also a passionate painter of feminine beauty. Look at his painting of Shakuntala removing the thorn from her foot. What's the story over here?
Well, you know, again, he caught the right moment in his canvas, and that was very important. So what has happened here, Shakuntala lives in the forest, so she's wearing her simple clothes, and Dushyant, the king, has arrived in the forest. He's hunting, and they meet each other face to face in the forest. And there is that instant love at first sight between the two of them. But since he's a king, he's got to behave himself because he's surrounded by all his people. So he does all the polite, hello, how are you, nice to meet you. He does all that and he moves away. But Shakuntala, she's also surrounded by her friends and one or two hermits, and she's absolutely spellbound. She can't move. So she pretends that she's got a thorn in her foot. And so she's saying, oh, my clothes have got caught in the bramble and I've got a thorn in my foot. So she is finding all kinds of pretenses to keep on turning her head to look, keep on looking at the departing Dushyant. So she finds every reason to do that, incidentally. Ravi Varma knew his music, he knew his theatre, he knew Kathakali, he watched dancing wherever he went. Here is a very important gesture that you have in classical dance. This whole thing about lifting the foot and pretending to take the thorn. It is actually done. It's a dance movement.
Yes.
And in that you pretend to remove the thorn. So he has given Shakuntala exactly the same movement. Now this can only be done by someone who knows his dance well. Otherwise it's not going to happen.
And then the other famous painting, Damayanti and the Hansam.
Yes. Oh, now that's an immortal painting. Now what do I say about that? It's beautifully painted. Incidentally, it's one of the last paintings he made. He had already fallen ill and he knew he was ill. So I think he put all he had. It's like putting his blood and sweat into this particular painting because he was not well. He died 3 months later of diabetes.
Raja Ravi Varma painted for 36 years, 2,000 paintings. That works out to roughly about one a week. How come he was so prolific?
He did have his brother, Raja Varma, who helped him, who had a great deal of talent and who helped him.
In filling up some of the paintings.
Yes, of course. So he was always with him and Raja Varma did help him. But a year and a half before Ravi Varma died, Raja Varma died. And for a short period, Ravi Varma's son, Rama Varma, who was moderately talented, I wouldn't say greatly talented. So Rama Varma helped him to some extent.
Raja Ravi Varma was the most sought-after artist of his time. In 1894, he started the Ravi Varma lithographic press. What was he thinking? What was he doing?
He couldn't paint fast enough for the demand. So chromolithography was the new invention, especially started in Germany, which is printing of from paintings. So very quickly he sent someone off to Germany who came back with a trained German chromolithographer, and they started a printing press. And so that was the beginning of the Ravi Varma Fine Arts Press. First in Bombay, and when the plague got too much for the press, then they moved to Lonavala.
And over the decades, his prints have been in every home and puja room.
Absolutely.
Goddess Saraswathi, Goddess Lakshmi, the other day.
The Shiv family, yes. I mean, the descent of Ganga, so many prints. And
it ended up in ads and posters and calendars and matchboxes as well. Everywhere.
And we have no idea how much influence, visual influence there is of Ravi Varma to our daily life. We have absolutely no idea.
Raja Ravi Varma also influenced many filmmakers like Dada Saheb Phalke, Raj Kapoor, Ismail Merchant.
Yes, that's true. Phalke actually worked briefly in the press, in Ravi Varma's press, before he went off for his training to Germany. But certainly when Phalke came back and gradually got into filmmaking, yes, he was influenced by Ravi Varma. So there are, in many, many ways, his paintings were reflected into oleographs. And from oleographs, it was a major dissemination over the entire country. Major.
And the legend of Raja Ravi Varma was strengthened over there.
Yes.
Rupika ji, you're a restorer of artworks. You've restored several Raja Ravi Varma works as well. What is the process of restoration and why and when is it required?
Oh, it's required because of various reasons. One is damages, tears and knocks and bumps and holes, fungus, dirt, varnish, negligence, artists' negligence, because sometimes they don't use the same right technique or method. So there are many environment. So there are many reasons why a painting is damaged or needs the care of a restorer.
And this process of restoration is very interesting. You've restored Raja Ravi Varma's King Aja's Lament. Why don't you take us through that?
This is just a very sad little story. King Aja is on the terrace with his wife, and they're very much in love with each other. And suddenly, Lord Indra's garland falls on her. There is a certain quality to Indra's garland that if it falls on anyone, that person dies instantaneously. So the wife dies just at the moment when they're having a good time. So he picks up the garland and he sees his dead wife, and he doesn't know what's happened. He's completely at a loss, but all he knows is that his wife has died. So he's of course crying. Now over the years, this painting has acquired the varnish. All realistic paintings or most realistic paintings need varnish at the end of it. And he was very careful about using varnish after 3 months, that the painting was done. So this is the original varnish which had turned brown. That's the nature of varnish, it turns brown.
Which we can see on the right-hand side of this painting.
And then there's the...
And so then you started restoring it.
So when I started to clean it, I was careful. I just cleaned half the face.
The left-hand side of the painting.
And you saw the tears. Otherwise, on the dark side, you don't see the tears. So you miss out on the entire history or the drama, so to speak, of this painting. You miss it out completely if you don't clean it. But once it's clean, you realize, you see his tears, the redness in the eyes. So it's
fascinating.
Quite fascinating.
And then you've also restored Raja Tondaiman's painting.
Yes, that is
done by Ravi Varma.
Yes.
And you made an interesting discovery.
Yes, I did. He's Marthan Tondaiman. He was at that time a young man, and then he became the Maharaja. So when I was cleaning it, I discovered again on the right side of the painting, there was a kind of a shadow in the curtains. So I said, so I looked at it, and I had a feeling that there was a figure under the curtains. I had it x-rayed, and sure enough, there was a figure which he again changed his mind about having in that place. He painted over it, made the curtain, but again over time that came out when I was cleaning it, in the course of cleaning it. Yes.
It's absolutely amazing. This has been a really fascinating chat on Raja Ravi Varma. Thank you very much for joining us on Art Talk.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.